in 2007, which of course, as you know, is, some of you may not know, but it was what was called this building and the place here, but now it's called the Center for Spiritual Living, for which we're very grateful to CSL and the Bonnie and the board for allowing us to have our services here. We love it here, and we understand how you felt at home when you came. Over the last 11 years, also, that first day she came, she heard a speaker. Guess who it was? You guys will know the name. Terry Cole Whitaker. Well, that's pretty crazy and wonderful that you came that day. Wonderful. So anyway, over the last 11 years, she's continued her studies. She's taken classes, given classes, attended agape retreats, international conferences, and she's led meditations. Here she's teaching and facilitating many different classes, spiritual classes. And in February of 2017, Teresa became her licensed religious science practitioner, and continues, as she says here, to pray it forward, seeing firsthand how prayer works in the evolution of lives to the highest good of the world. She's taken her light and love into the community as a volunteer. And so I'd like just to read a few of these things that she's doing and done. Refugee work at El Calvario, working with adolescent women in local juvenile detention centers and recovery hospital. Big sister and big brothers, or like big sisters and big brothers, whatever. Big brothers, big sisters, big brothers. 12-step recovery fellowships, meditation facilitation, mediation facilitation for 9th through 12th graders. Busy. And then in May of 2019, she was in she calls it the flow of divine guidance. We all want to know about the flow of divine guidance and hear it. Well, she heard it, and she began her Reiki and life enhancement business. It's called Alas de Angeles. And if you want to ask her more about it, please do. She does Reiki and healing, energy healing. I myself have had it, and I can attest, testimonial, good stuff. And she was given this idea in 2011 by Doreen Virtue while she was at one of the conferences that she used to give. Teresa is grounded in gratitude for the divine guidance that her heart has been opened to receive, and tithes her time, talents, and treasures, which blesses her life and the world around her. And we are very blessed to have you here today. Thank you, Teresa.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am so blessed to be here. It is, and thank you, Unity, for being here in this building with us. This building has changed with all your energy and love that you bring with you every Sunday. And, you know, I do want to, this isn't part of my talk, but Magic Penny, when I started teaching kindergarten in 1989, that was one of the songs that we sang in class. Couldn't remember the chorus, so I had to open the book. But thank you. It's that connection, that one-on-one. And then just seeing going out into the community, you know, what Reverend Tanya shared with us about what's happening in California with how prayer and love can change the appearance of violence and trash, right? And that is my work that I do with adolescents in the community. And all of it is truly about praying it forward. Anything that I do in my life today is because I allow myself to be guided by something bigger than me. And it's certainly not accolades to Teresa. So, ta-da! I do have a talk here. And prosperity, oh my gosh, prosperity. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this. And I see a couple of women sitting in the seats that have been on my journey of learning to be open to the idea of prosperity. And so I also use the word abundance, sort of intermingled with prosperity. I looked up definitions, and I used to be really obsessed with wanting complete facts so I could rationalize what I say, and now I know I just need to open my heart, and that the words will come exactly the way they should be. And so you'll hear me use both of those words. If you were able to be here when Eugene Holden was here, I'd had the pleasure of hearing him in Albuquerque before he came down here with his prayer workshop. And one thing he said that really connected to my heart was that abundance is the principle, and that prosperity is a manifestation. And that rings true to me. But it's just words, right? It's whatever it is today. And so when I walked into CSL, Mastery of Life, I used to think it was December 2007, then I found it doesn't really matter. I ended up here, right? Like I was open. Actually, a friend of mine literally dragged me down here. She had been trying to get me to come to Mastery. And before her, like 10 years before her, someone else had been trying to get me to come into the rooms. So if you have someone out there that you're wanting to bring into unity, you know, time is human-made. They get here when they get here. If the message keeps getting to them. So that Sunday, Terry Cole Whitaker was the guest speaker. I do not have a clue what she said, but what I know is that I was home. I was home. And I am so blessed to have been able to have found that. Early in life, I guess that's early in life. I hit 60 this year. I'm so blessed to be here breathing and still doing what I need to do. So when I walked in, though, I had this attitude about money. And it's not like my parents sat me down and told me these things. It is what I experienced growing up and as a child, you know, adolescent, young adult, married, mother, you know, and it was this attitude that there was always lack in my life, financially. There was never enough, never enough, no matter how many jobs I had, if I lived with my parents, if I moved out, who I married, what I did, there was always this lack of money in my life. At least that was my attitude when I walked in here. And also that I could see that no matter how hard my parents worked growing up, and boy, that's a whole nother talk. My parents are amazing. You know, their life was very different. I had a very cushy life compared to my parents. But you know, no matter how hard I saw how hard my parents worked, there still was never enough. Not only was there never enough financial support, I felt there was never enough emotional support or loving support. Always lack in what I grew up in. And so along with that, not having enough money, I had this idea that having money was bad, right? And looking at it, it's like, okay, I wish I had more money, or my family had more money, so that we could pay our bills on time, and I could have the clothes that my friends have and go the places my friends go to. But yet I had this underlying feeling that, you know, if you have money, you are not really a very good person. And so over the years, through my prosperity work, I realized that that is just an idea that I had, coming from a place where I needed to change my thinking, and definitely changed my life. And I also, when I came, I thought when people talked about prosperity and abundance, it meant dollars, right? Like, or stuff that I had in my house, or how big was my house, or how many cars did I have, or how did my children dress. And so today I realized through working Prosperity Plus and reading other authors, is that prosperity is really about health, and you'll have someone talk to that next week, right? And relationships, and creative and career paths, and of course the finance part of it. But my idea of prosperity has just grown and enlarged over the years. And another thing I realized is the law of abundance was working in my life when I didn't even have a word for it. Now I will tell you that having those thoughts of lack, that's what was coming into my life. And so it was about shifting, you know, the law of abundance was still working because it was giving to me what I was focusing on, and that was never having enough. And so as I moved over and I started focusing more on being grateful for everything I have, even those times that the appearance, you know, isn't really very good. You might even say they are bad, right? But even looking beyond that word, seeing the gifts and the opportunities to grow, regardless of the appearance of what it is. And you know, 3 months before I walked in the doors, I was of Mastery in Life, I was $40,000 in credit card debt. And I didn't know anything about circulation or tithing. Well, I did know about tithing. I did not like to do that. But somehow the universe had put me in a situation and I was able to get a second mortgage. And this is right before I walked in to religious science philosophy. And I was able to do what I needed to do. And in 4 years, that debt was gone. But I walked into religious science principle and I started learning how money, how prosperity, how abundance really works in the universe. And so there are no longer any coinky-dinks in my life. I was meant to walk into these rooms. And so what happened when I first got to Mastery in Life? I could really talk for 2.5 hours and then have you share your stories with me, but I don't have quite that long. So there are two things that really come to mind, and one is the Prosperity Club that Tina and Doug Bailey had when I got here. And I don't remember if we met every Sunday, and I look at Marcia because I remember her being at those meetings. But what I learned about through Prosperity Club and through the Baileys over the years is the fact that the idea of unexpected income. So when I got here, I had just gotten out of debt and fear of, you know, getting my teacher paycheck garnished and living off $24 a month, right? And so like the whole idea of giving money back, even though I was home, was difficult. But when I started looking at my unexpected income, people buying me a Coke on Friday afternoons while I was writing lesson plans. Getting a coupon for dog, I spent a lot of money on dog food. So getting a coupon, right, for $5, unexpected income. And the more I saw the flow coming into my life, just through that one principle, unexpected income, the richer I could feel, the richer I could feel. And also, I bought a red wallet in Mexico, Lisa, and so the $100 bill, I keep a $100 bill in my wallet at all times, so that I know, regardless, I can buy whatever I want. Though I have a credit card in there too, right? But I've been through the credit card debt story. I don't want to go there again. But just that feeling, right? That feeling of having and being abundant and prosperous. And I have spent it. I spent my $100 at Dillard's, and I also have spent that money at the dollar store. So you see, it's about circulation for me. It's about that feeling of being prosperous. And the second biggie was when I took Beyond Limits the first time, the Peggy Shin, and the idea of tithing came up. And boy, if I didn't argue verbally, I argued in my mind. Is it gross or net? Is it after I feed my children or before? Is that monthly, or can I, you know, but it did start opening up my heart to the fact that where I am spiritually fed, I want to pray it and pay it forward, right? It opened the door. So over the years, the concept of, and I've seen it not only work in my life, but work in the lives around me. And so that whole idea of tithing really started meaning more to me than just the check I was writing, right? Because once again, it is tithing your talent and your time, along with your treasures. So those are the two biggies when I first got here that helped me move along. And the grounding, you know, I wanted the foundation, the grounding, the one word I could think of as I was going through my thoughts for today was gratitude. that the more I settled into gratitude of my life,
I like that old lady's name, excuse me. I just like that old lady.
the more that I settled into that idea of gratitude, regardless of the appearance, right? Regardless of what's happening around me, how grateful I am for everything that occurs in my life, for this building being unlocked. I'm truly speaking from my heart. I told you I was in recovery. At one point, I was in a place where other people did not want to be around me. So how grateful today that I am in a church, in a building where the door is unlocked and we see each other as one. All part of the jigsaw of life. How blessed are we? And that truly comes from my heart. And so along with that comes spiritual practices. Once again, that just helped me settle in to see how prosperous I am. My family is, along health and relationships and the creative career that I chose. I love teaching little kids. I love becoming a bilingual teacher and being with families. But when 25 years hit, in order for me to retire, I knew it was time to pass the torch to someone else. And that had to do with my spiritual practices. And we hear a lot about that, right? Meditation, contemplation, affirmative prayer, journaling, which I'm still working on. Reverend Bonnie helps me every class that I take with her, so I'm baby steps. And also, just going to the triple T's. I can't tell you how tithing my treasure, my time, and my talent has impacted my life and opened doors. If you would have told me that I would be working with adolescent girls, I think 8 years ago, Lisa connected me with Nima Laclier and her last group of girls who were trying to graduate through Rivers Academy. I would have told you, teenage girls, I have no interest in. I can, when they're 4, 5, and 6, it has been the biggest payoff. Going out into the community and understanding what our youth are going through before I make a judgment call. It's really, and of course I have my 3 who are now in their 30s, but when they're your children, it's a whole different story. So, just also being open to expanding my idea of spiritual practices so that I'm always evolving, always unfolding, and always open to the newness of life. I think we passed out some power thoughts. Those aren't yet, but the power thoughts. I took part in a webinar. Reverend Della Mancella, who's a CSO minister, so they're really affirmations, but her wording were power thoughts. And so I found these power thoughts for abundance. They're Bob Baker's inspiration project. And so what I would ask of you through the week, if you would like to open yourself up to more abundance, is, and if you've done any mirror work through Louise Hay, this is something you could use for that, but either standing in front of a mirror or wherever you do your meditation or your prayer work, and going through page 1 and page 2 with power. I am so grateful for all that I have. Just sinks in. Changes you on a cellular level if you're open to it. Changes your brain waves. My life has been blessed with a wealth of experiences. Today, this morning, we've had an experience that will probably impact the rest of the day in however you thread that. I live an amazing life right now. The life I have today, I couldn't have even imagined when I walked in the room 12 years ago. I would never have imagined not only the financial security that I have today, but the relationships that have evolved over the years through the abundance of love the love that people have for me regardless of what I say or do, and the love that I'm able to give to other people when they need that support. Share some stories with you. We used to call them coinky dinks, as I said before, and today in my family we call them God stories. And the more I remember the God stories and I do my spiritual work, which includes classwork and those other, meditation, going out and tithing my time and my talent, actually listening to other people. And also I do attend workshops and classes outside of the umbrella of Center for Spiritual Living, of religious science, because I see that that's how I continue to grow and just be able to encapsulate more into my life. And along with that, the abundance just keeps on flowing. So, I told you I moved, well, I didn't tell you yet because I haven't told you the story, but one of the coinky dinks that really impacted my life is I can remember, I think it was July 2011, sitting at International Delights. And I was with 3 friends. And I just said, I want a different job. Well, I was teaching like first grade bilingual happily. I have no idea where those words came from, but I said them. So that was in July of 2011. Like 2 or 3 weeks later, I was contacted by NMSU to teach a reading class in the College of Ed, which I had done in the past, but hadn't done in many years. And as I went in to sign the contract, the department head said, I think we have this, you'd be interested in this position we have, moving from public school to NMSU. And by October 31st, I had been hired as the assistant director of elementary ed. So today I can see that thought that happened, have no idea where it came from, in front of my friends, and everything that led up to the last 5 years of my career. And I needed at that point to probably leave public school the way that it was, and the way that I know kids learn. So that's one story, and just being open, right? I was open to whatever. I didn't even think much about it, but it unfolds, it evolves. Like there's something deep, deep, deep down that leads us to that place of expansion if we're open to it. The second story is the whole Doreen Virtue story. So fall of 2011, I go to a Celebrate Your Life conference, and Wayne Dyer was always there, Greg Brayton, it's still going on every year in November, Don Miguel Reese, and just a whole list of names that we hear in New Thought or New Age. And I used to make fun of Doreen Virtue and call her the Angel Lady, and anytime I ordered a book for the bookstore. And so she was one of the keynotes, and I was with my son, and there was about 1,500 people in that hall, and we were late coming back from dinner, so we were almost in the last row. And she was going around, Doreen, I call her Doreen now, I don't know if she knows that, but she was going around just pointing at people and telling them their story intuitively. And she started talking, and I actually was so rude, I was reading something else, and my son hits me with his elbow and says, I think she's talking about you. And I looked up, the microphone person is at the end of our row. She has me stand up, and she said, do you know you're a healer? And I didn't know enough about what I didn't know enough about, right? And it's like, no, I don't. And she said, no, you are a healer. I see Archangel Michael behind you. And so I'm still thinking she's a little, right? And then the next word she said was, are you gluten intolerant? And my son just looked at me because at dinner I had been making fun of the gluten-free the gluten-free menu. And I went on this whole, people are, imprinted that on me, and that's what she saw. No, I am not gluten intolerant. I'm just intolerant, right? And then she had me move down the row. She said, I'm going to prove to you you're a healer. She had me move down the row and then stopped me behind the 10th or 11th person, and had me put my hands on this woman's shoulder and led us through a meditation of healing. And what I realized the moment I touched that lady's shoulder is she was standing behind me in the dinner line, and we had started a conversation. From then on, I knew Doreen knew what she was doing, for me anyway. So, but it still took me some time to go through. I went through Reiki training twice, just in case. I'm not really a healer. I stumbled through my practitioner license because I'm not sure that's really what I wanted to do, like commit to working with people and spiritual counseling. And I couldn't do Reiki because I needed a massage table, and within a month someone had gifted me a massage table. So it still took me teaching Prosperity Plus One in March, and we just had a great group. And I facilitate and I learn and I grow with the people in that class, in any class that I facilitated. So week 2, we were supposed to come back and talk about what we wanted to focus on. So I had chosen the creative, professional track. My health's pretty good. Relationships, well, that's for another talk as well. And so I came back the second week and I said, I think I want to learn how to knit. And the 5 women in the class looked at me like, you're facilitating this class and you want to learn how to knit? Like, where are you from? So within a week, I had a Facebook page up. I have my website, which I haven't worked on, but I do have the domain site, the Alas, the Angeles, Angel Wings. I went and got my New Mexico gross receipts tax number. Right, that's what I was supposed to be doing. Now, where I was supposed to be doing, I didn't know. But someone else in the class was looking for an office and a place to teach classes, because she also does healing work. And so I found an office in the Southwestern Environmental Center. I went in there to buy a raffle ticket for the car that I gave to someone else. But I called her on the phone and I said, there's an office I think will work for you. And from the 7 minutes it took to get to my house, I realized that I needed to be there with her. And so thank you, Lisa, for letting me ride on your coattails. And we had a 3-month spin, and Swick has had to move, and so now I'm looking at opening up an office in my home, which was my original idea in 2011, but it's taken me this long to realize that my home is a welcoming, loving, and healthy place to bring people in. So that's that whole thing. And I'm retired today because when I facilitated Prosperity Plus 2, I had a group of people who showed me on paper 2 or 3 weeks in a row that I would actually be taking home as much money as I was taking home working at my job, that I was really no longer happy for. And so that's this prosperity, right? That's the prosperity, is being open to what happens in your life. I was ready to retire and do something more, something bigger than me, something that I could not have even imagined. Opening up a business in March when I just wanted to learn how to knit was not in my frame of mind. Having friends who show up and support me, and I have to say Marsha's always been my loudest cheerleader, no matter what ideas I get, so I have a lot more to share, but time is, and I want to do the meditation. It's an Ernest Holmes meditation on supply. And so, but I do want to say that we are starting Prosperity Plus 3. It's only been out a year or 2, and so we start that class on September 3rd, and it's for 7 weeks. There's information out in the social hall if you're interested. Teaching that class has changed my life. I got to go to Mary Morrissey's Dream Builder Conference. Prosperity Plus is her program that she's developed, and being in the same room with Mary Morrissey and her sons, and that energy which comes through the video, but even more so being in the same room and seeing 3,000 other people who are there because they want a different life. They want different relationships, they want different health, they want different financial situations, they want a different creative, professional pathway. And that's how my life has been. I do have people that I pull from. I was so busy sharing stories, I didn't share any quotes, but you all know who the prosperity people are. We had Edwin Gaines here. Mary Morrissey uses Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. In the second, in Prosperity Plus 2, she uses Genevieve Berend, Your Invisible Power, who was Troward's only official student, if you know about Thomas Troward and the roots there. And The Miracles of Tithing, I know that it works. Kathy Ann Lewis, 40 Days of Prosperity, I got to hear and see her. I don't know if Lillian talked about her last week, but she was in Mexico and had some amazing prosperity stories from her own center. So I am open to being led by divine guidance, but I also need the foundation of why I do what I do, how I do it. So thank you very much. So settling in your chair and relaxing, giving your body time to be in this place, in the presence of yourself, of the people around you, and being divinely guided to know that you are enough, to know that your thinking and your thoughts change your life, to know that you are taken care of in every moment. Open to the law of abundance and believing all this and more. I am surrounded by pure spirit, by God the living spirit. My thought is God thought, and it is the law unto that thing whereunto it is spoken. Everything that I do shall be a success. I am led, guided, and inspired by the living spirit of love and of right action. I am compelled to move in the right direction and to always know what to do, where, and how to do it. I am surrounded by right action. I am filled with the consciousness of right action. Right action is success in all that I undertake to do. I am successful in all my undertakings, and I am compensated for all my efforts. I am surrounded by substance which is always taking the form of supply and always manifesting itself to me in the form of whatever my need may be at the time. I always have an abundance of money and an abundance of whatever it takes to make life happy and opulent. There is a continuous movement toward me of supply, of money, of all that I need to express the fullest life, happiness, and action. There is that in me which all people recognize as worth, desirable, and everyone whom I meet loves this self of mine and recognizes its worth. I draw all toward me, and those whom I can benefit and those who can benefit me are irresistibly drawn toward me. I do not strain, will, or coerce. I know. The truth makes me free from the fear of poverty and emancipates me from the thought of limitation. I shall always have this idea of abundance. It is mine, and I take it. The opportunity for self-expression and compensation is always open to me. I have abundance because I am abundance. All the Father hath is mine. And so it is. Amen. So bringing yourself back into the room and remembering the opulence, the magnificence, and the abundance that you truly are. Namaste. And I didn't wait long enough, but I have a little gift. I'm paying it, praying it forward. And I thank you for your time and for being here this morning. Thank you.